I thought this was genius, right? So, Doctor Strange is coming out, and I'm very excited about it. Like the character, Benedict Cumberbatch is awesome. Tilda Swinton is awesome. Miles Mickelson is awesome. I mean, just Mad Mickelson. Pardon me. So, I'm really stoked about it. It's like, well, how do I, it's not for like another week and a half. So I had this idea. I'm going to review Doctor Strange, the 1978 made-for-TV movie Doctor Strange. So I'm going to review the movie before I see the other one. And that was my idea. And it might not have been that great. Okay, so I watched Doctor Strange from 1978, and I'm not sure how great an idea this was, because right out of the gate, let me say, this movie is boring. It's okay, let's put it this way. It's 93 minutes long. The idea is it's a made-for-TV series, so it fits into 2 one-hour blocks with commercials. So it's an hour and it's 90 minutes long. 93 minutes long. Thank you, Emerson. Yeah, me and pals are going to review this movie. But here's the thing. If they had pared this movie down properly, this could have been done in an hour. It could have been done in an hour block. It didn't need to be 2 hours long. It's very slowly paced. We see, here's the character getting out of the car. Here's the character walking across the street. Here's the character going up the stairs. Here's like just establishing the shit out of every single scene. And then after the admittedly kind of incomprehensible scene explaining what just happened, and it's a bit much. It's very slow paced. The acting is completely inept. Let me also add that, oh boy, especially at the beginning of this thing, I mean, just the humor that we get early on, it's kind of hard to watch. What else? Oh, goodness. There's a lot. Other than that, let's see. Bad pacing, bad special effects. It's 1978. The special effects are literally people staring into cameras where odd sound effects are happening, and not terribly interesting ones at that. It's really not very good at all. It's very much I think it was supposed to, from what I understand, it was supposed to be sort of the first installment in a TV series. It's not, it doesn't warrant it. It's just not interesting enough. I mean, they had to pad the hell out of it to make it 2 hours long. There are very few characters at all. And it's pretty forgettable. Like, I just watched it, and I'm like, what happened exactly? Well, not a lot. In the comics, Doctor Strange is a physician, is a surgeon specifically, fucks up his hands in a really bad accident, but he's like, I'm walking back a little bit, he's this super arrogant but very talented surgeon. Like, he's just this $1 million amazing surgeon, but very, very arrogant and full of himself. He gets in an accident where his hands are messed up in such a way, like the nerves are damaged, and that he's now shaky. Like the thing that made him perfect and special is gone now. And I've seen a lot of versions of this, like cartoons, comics, you name it. Like I said, I'm fond of the character. But in one of the more recent animated series they did, he even has that line where someone's like, well, yeah, you can't be a surgeon anymore, but you're so well renowned and you're so talented, you could still like advise, and there's a lot you can do in a hospital and not be a master surgeon. And Doctor Strange has that attitude of, no, if I can't be the best, I'm nothing. and thus the character, and thus he goes to search for a cure for having fucked up hands, and it kind of ends up instead becoming the master magician, the sorcerer supreme. And that's our basic premise. That's what I'm going to see on November 4th. And that's not what we see, though, in this TV series. That's kind of why I'm bringing this up, is that whole... That's interesting. That is an interesting story of an arrogant man becoming humble. I mean, that's a classic trope for the hero's journey. One is the the neophyte, the young guy who's nothing, like a pig farmer from the Chronicles of Lewin, or whatever the hell those were called. But also Luke Skywalker, tons of characters. This instead is I'm a great man, but in being humbled, I am given the opportunity to become a truly great man. Like a heroic character, a heroic person. That's interesting. That is not in the 1978 made-for-TV movie at all. He's a psychiatrist who's in a hospital working as a physician. None of that makes any sense at all. At all. It doesn't. None of this makes any sense at all. The whole thing is so contrived, with lots of coincidences and stuff like that. It's really very bland. I mean, what I just described, the story from the comics and from the cartoons and such like that, would actually have taken time to develop and happen. This series doesn't have that. It just doesn't do it. It just pads out, people walking to cars and upstairs and laying down and just... One thing I thought was kind of interesting is obviously because of their budget, their non-existent budget, they're the Ancient One, and the bad guy in this one is the Enchantress Morgan Le Fay. Because of the limited special effects budget, they come across as incredibly puny. Like, they have magical powers, but they can't really do that much. Like, Morgan Le Fay can appear from place to place in the cheapest effect you can imagine in your mind. You've pictured them, like, filming her and then cutting to the exact same shot where she's not there. Yeah, that's what you're talking about. But also hypnotism that makes people talk like robots. I mean, they're really not that powerful. And that actually kind of interested me. Like, if this hadn't been as inept as it was, the idea of, ancient powers manifesting on Earth as being not particularly that awesome, where they have to kind of have a secret war simply because the police could just show up and arrest you because you're not that powerful. That was interesting. Like, that would be a kind of a cool show. It's not this show at all. This is very not interesting. But that's just the thing I noticed. Otherwise, this thing is crap. The acting is terrible. The sets are terrible. The camera work is terrible. The editing is terrible. It's very boring and slow-paced. Mechanically, this thing is awful. And story-wise, it's not interesting. It's really not. But it does have a couple scenes, and I want to talk about that briefly. In the preview, the first preview we see for the 2016 Benedict Cumberbatch Doctor Strange movie, the first preview, of which there have been 3 trailers, but the very first one, the kind of the teaser one, we see this scene where Tilda Swinton is the Ancient One, like kind of does this kung fu move on him and knocks his soul out of his body, which sounds amazing, and visually it is amazing. I understand why they put it on the trailer, because he's Doctor Strange. He's going to be astral projecting the fuck out of everything constantly. It's a Doctor Strange thing, incidentally. In the comics, he doesn't stop doing it. Man can't get a cup of coffee without astral projecting into someplace, like Nepal or somewhere. The thing is, The scene where the Ancient One, I'm going to put that in kind of air quotes, teaches Doctor Strange to astral project is in both of them. It's in the 1978 made-for-TV movie, and clearly it's in the 2016 movie that's coming out in just a week or two. And the comparison between them is nothing short of absolutely fucking amazing. This is it's awesome. Put them side by side, the two scenes, and you've got magic. Real
possibility.
When does it begin? Now.
In closing, aside from a couple psychedelic gems, this movie's terrible. My rating system. What are the odds you'll see this and not like it? Pretty goddamn good. I would give it a 9 out of 10. I can, at best. I can imagine there's some people out there who could get a laugh out of this. There's a couple funny scenes. The problem is, for a good bad movie, something that's so bad it's funny or it's still entertaining despite itself, is that the one thing it cannot be is boring. Like, you can't have long scenes of driving or parking or, where nothing is really happening. You're just padding it out to get to a particular length. And this movie's filled with it. Just filled with nonsensical, boring dialogue that means nothing and forwards the plot in no way. It's boring. So 9 out of 10 that you will not like this. Unless you're a real Doctor Strange aficionado and you just want the experience of being able to say, I saw the 1978 Doctor Strange, don't see this movie. It's really terrible. That said, it's easy to find. You'll be able to watch this for free very easily. I pulled it from, I think, YouTube or someplace, but it's on a whole bunch of video sharing sites. For Christ's sake, no one's jealously guarding the rights to this piece of garbage. What else? Do I want to see this again? Fuck no. It was really boring. I don't recommend watching it, and I don't recommend watching it twice, certainly. It's really dull. It's very dry, and the cool stuff in it, they could have taken this movie and compressed it into, I said an hour, but I think you could do it in less than 45 minutes, and there'd still be some kind of boring scenes in it. It didn't need to be 2 hours long. This could have been a single episode. With as little stuff going on, could have been a single episode. So, don't watch this. Watch the 2016 Doctor Strange. It'll be, I guarantee, because that's a really low bar. I guarantee the Cumberbatch, Tilda Swinton, and Mads Mikkelsen version will be significantly better. Other than that, like and subscribe if you are inclined. That's me. I'm out.